See how we're doing, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Get a little bit of tea time. Hope everybody is doing great. I'm Jesse, I'm a tea guy. Just getting started here with Livestream. See how everybody does. Hopefully the sounds of downtown Los Angeles are not overwhelming for everybody. Hello for everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just starting Livestream right now, so if you came in at a good time. You literally just hit the beginning. I'm Jesse, I'm a tea guy. I lived in China for 9 years. I do Chinese stand-up comedy and also run this tea channel. So basically a whole bunch of different stuff related to Chinese culture and just having a good time with great Chinese tea. That's basically what we're doing. If you are interested in having tea, it's tea time. Andrew 20 says it's tea time. That is correct. What are we sipping on? I haven't 100% decided, but I only brought one tea out to the porch. So I'm personally going to be having this this 2007, how many years is it aged now? That's 17 years aged white tea, Shoumei White Tea. This is one of the teas from my personal collection back in Beijing. So when I lived in Beijing for 9 years, I had like a personal tea collection, and then when COVID happened, I basically had to put all my stuff into storage, and then for years and years and years, I was not able to actually drink any of my personal tea collection, which is ironic because it's ironic because again, like I started doing all this tea stuff when I was over COVID because I had the time. And then when I actually wanted to drink my own personal tea, I couldn't. So this is one of the remnants of my actual personal tea collection from Beijing. And I don't know why, on Sunday, I just felt like making it today. I made a video earlier today with a raw pour and drink through that. So I don't want to drink another raw pour, but I'm going to drink some of this white tea. And 2007, baby, so that's a while ago. Shoumei White Tea. Bam. What we got here. Alright. Put that down over there. If you are interested in doing tea time, if you have the ability to break out some tea and have it yourself, that would be the way to do it. And of course, if you have any tea questions, ask them in the channel. And I'm going to be able to answer them as best I can. Hello, T-Man. Hello, T-Man. As told by Gator, how would you recommend somebody try earthier teas? I only like the sweet dessert ones, but I want to try more. I would say, if you have like a really earthy, strong tea or something like that, try a very short steep time. Or try maybe half of the amount of tea leaf that they recommend, just so you don't get like blasted by that flavor right away. Especially for people trying like a show pu'er or something like that, like a cooked pu'er for the first time, or like a yencha, like a rock tea, or stuff like that. It can be a little bit overwhelming at first, and so I would just give it the way that just like try it a little bit like that. So. Bowman Bro says, hello brother, I only have a few minutes. Do you have any chance of any starter kits on the site for holidays? I'm extremely interested, but importantly, my brother is in the hospital. I'm assuming the hospital with a traumatic brain injury. Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I do have starter kits on the website, jesseseahouse.com. If money is tight, there's like a $40 cup pot combo, like teapot, that is very good for traveling. You bring it to the hospital very easily. I hope your brother gets better, man. We're praying for you here. Getting started, show you guys the tea we're going to be drinking today. This is the 2007 Shoumei. Very, very good. It's a gorgeous teapot. These teapots, the Round Boy teapots are actually being made for us right now in China. My friend Joy Lei, who does our cooked pour tea 2010 Reserve, this is his design. And so I bought a bunch of them, and we're going to be putting them onto the shop along with 2 other of his teapots, which hopefully will be a real hit. I think they look really great. He also designed these cups. So these are like really low, kind of like straw hat teacups, and this is going to be a good cup pot cap. Like, you know, it's going to be good. I like them. I'm kind of breaking the cardinal sin of running an online tea shop and like nothing at the table you can purchase and the tea beds you can purchase, but the pot and the cups are not up for sale right now yet. They're coming though. They're coming. I'm doing it. Questions. PMA Mother says, I have terrible gas. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you looking for a tea that would help with that? I'm not 100% sure why you're mentioning that, but maybe I missed something. And if I missed something, I'm really sorry because I just talked about your gas and gave nothing. You're pretty. Do you have diabetes? Thank you for the pretty. I do not have diabetes. I do not know how those things are related. Questions, good questions over here. I'm gonna start to make the white tea, get this into the pot. When you have a teapot like this and a crumbly tea, you just gotta take a little bit extra time to get it in there. In some ways it's easier to have a tea ball or whatever these things, but not a problem if a little falls onto the table. You just pick it up, get it in there. We're not doing any sort of ceremony today. We're just having tea. If you have tea of your own and you want to try some, give it a try. Great questions over here. Do you know Mateusz Kwiatkowski, if I said that right, Kwiatkowski, says, do you know traditional Chinese or just simplified? So I learned simplified Chinese in school, and then I lived in mainland China where they use simplified Chinese only. So I know simplified very, very well. But when I travel to Hong Kong or to Taiwan or even to Chinatown in Los Angeles, a lot of the words are going to be in traditional. And I can read enough, I'd say like the most common couple hundred traditional characters I can recognize. I wouldn't be able to write it, but I can at least recognize it. So that's the wash of the white tea. That wash is very dark for a white tea. And that's because this is 17 years age. So as the tea ages, it oxidizes and gets darker. And so if you ever get an old white tea, you're like, oh, I want to check if this is really old. Obviously there are ways of faking stuff, but one of the ways that you can check, that's just a general good idea, is that to see the color of the tea. If this was a younger white tea, this would be much closer to white. As you can see, it's very clearly yellow, almost into dark yellow, and it's just going to get darker as things go on. So give some to our tea pets here. Good times. Oh, loving it. Something about this pot, I haven't made this tea in this pot before. Something about the shape of this pot has given me extra fragrance. We're getting some extra fragrance rebound here. I'm filling that about 2/3 of the way up. If I were drinking with another person, I'd fill it all the way up. Questions over here. Can I water bend? No, sorry about that. Paul said, I bought an 8-year ripe pu'er, and while I would describe it as fishy, it does have a bit of a funk to it. Is this normal? Is it more noticeable, longer seed time, so I've kept them short? The fishy taste is usually where do you get it? That's the first question, because the fishy taste is usually a sign that the piling process that creates the cooking process basically was not done well. And so a lot of times you'll have a little bit of a fishy sense, a fishy flavor that comes in that, you know, some people like, but most people don't like. And so I only say that to just make sure that you, I mean, a lot of the cooked pu'er, a lot of the show pu'er that gets to America in the West is not that good. And that's because when the piling process goes wrong, people in China who are very aware of like the differences in taste because they've drunk a lot of this stuff before, they can't sell it in China. So they go to the outside market and they put it on Amazon. And many times it even winds up in shops that are tea shops but aren't specifically doing pu'er or Chinese style teas, either because it's cheaper or because the vendors themselves are more focused on their herbal blends or whatever. They're not actually doing like Chinese tea. And so when that happens, you wind up having some fishy tea slip into the things. The funkiness, that earthy funkiness though, is supposed to be there. So check out the color of this guy. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Drum Dirt, for the douyin, for the beef. There we go. Appreciate it. Cheers. Questions. I have a 9-year-old black lychee tea with a shelf life of 2 years. Is this aged or not? That's from 3mil on YouTube. By the way, I have a TikTok, I have a YouTube, and I have an Instagram coming on. So if I'm answering questions that are not from your chat, feel free to repost your questions because I'm looking all over. Lychee, so it's hard to tell. So in China, they don't flavor tea with lychee. So this is probably a Western blend that was created, and the lychee flavor is probably going to be gone by now because it probably wasn't even flavored with real lychee in the beginning. They probably just sprayed some lychee spray on it. But the black tea shouldn't go bad. You could probably still drink that and it probably should be okay. Cheers. Love that white tea. Aged white tea, so good. Really light, sweet, but like instantly really herbal, dark. Funky. Fantastic. Great questions over here. I've got a lot of questions from I'm Kyra on TikTok. Says, you're my favorite tea person. You inspired me to get into loose leaf tea. There we go. We're doing it. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kyra. Enjoy. Always, I mean, I just want more people to get into tea because it's been such a big thing in my life. Not just as a drink, but as a community, as a way into many different ways of thinking. And obviously the cultural experience of having gotten to live in China and go to the tea markets and go to the mountains. I'm going to China again in 2 weeks. So on April 8th, I'm going to fly to Shanghai. I'm going to go to Shanghai, Huaganshan, and Hangzhou in the south, where we get our green teas from. We have a green tea pre-order on the website, if you don't know. This year's spring green teas, when they get picked, they all have to basically be pre-ordered because there's such a fight for the green teas every spring that I need to tell my farmers how much to pack, and we need to kind of step into the middle of that process, which I'm not gonna. I mean, maybe I could go on a rant about the green tea season here, but basically we need to pre-order, and so if you want some and you want to be guaranteed of getting some of the first ones, you can go to the website now and get the pre-order. Anytime in the next week or two is probably going to be fine. But when I arrive in China, I may need to make the final order on the tea mountain. And when I do that, if I have your order in, I know that you're getting it. So this is especially important for the ancient tree green tea we have. We have an ancient tree green tea this year, which is excellent. And we're going to be doing it. Question from one M Just Dandy on TikTok says, is there going to be a pre-order for the pots? I'm not going to do a pre-order for the pots because honestly I dislike doing pre-orders in general, because a lot of people don't read the thing and they buy a pre-order and then they buy other stuff with the pre-order, and then even though it's written in bold that if you buy stuff with the pre-order it's going to wait until they're all together to ship, people don't listen. And I just hate telling customers who are like frustrated, like, why isn't it shipped? Oh, it's bad service. Like, no, we don't have it yet, and you pay shipping for one package. So I'm gonna wait until they're there, and then they're in stock, and it makes it easy. I'm gonna get a couple hundred of each of them, so it's not gonna sell out in the first day. But if you know you want them, like, the longer you wait, the more likely it is that there's gonna be a problem. And I hope the fire engine is not a problem for you guys, because we're in downtown LA. So great questions, by the way. Nate Dogg, what up, Jesse? How you doing, Nate Dogg? OG. One of the first tea friends on the channel. Hope you're doing well, Nate. Hope everything's going good. Questions over here. If you guys have any tea questions, put them on. If you are in a space and time where you can get your own tea and drink your own tea, break out your own tea, let's sit. I'm going to be here probably about an hour. Fletch says, any update on the Taiwan boxes? Yes. So we have basically finished the design. We're going to hopefully start printing the boxes and everything next week, or at the very latest the week after that. Then printing, packing, shipping. Probably looking at like May, or late May, I guess, to try to get everything to you guys. We're going as fast as possible. It's honestly been a little bit of a surprise, like the speed of how people do business in Taiwan as opposed to the mainland. It's very, very different. Everything just takes a little bit longer there than I expected. But it is happening. Questions over here. Jesse, any chance of getting white tea cakes? Also, doing a tasting of a gallery opening doing a local tea tasting during a gallery open using your teas. They were excited when I brought supplies and when I picked my custom table. There we go. Very, very cool. Glad to have my teas involved in a gallery opening. That's very fun. We are getting more white tea cakes. I think we're in stock of the 2011 Fooding White Tea. Reheat that water. I think we're in stock of the 2011 Fooding White Tea cakes, and I'm looking into getting other ones. I'm probably going to go back to Tianjia, where Sister Ai is from, to Sister Ai's mountain. She has white teas that I didn't buy last time. They were kind of expensive, but also very, very good. So we'll kind of run with that. Nate Dogg over here on TikTok. It's all good with my tea guy. That's great. Good to hear you. Cheers. Lots of great questions on here. By the way, if I missed your question, I do apologize. Repost it. I'll get to it. Jay Fuyan says, how is selective is your tasting process when choosing teas for the website? I would say very selective. There's a lot of good tea out there. There's also, I also try to make it easy for you guys in the sense that there's a lot of teas that are going to be very, very similar to each other. And I want to make sure that each tea on the website is distinct. So when I'm looking for something like, let's say I want an aged white tea like I'm drinking right now, I knew that from the very beginning that I wanted to have an aged white tea on the website. But every time I got an aged white tea, I need to make sure that it's a good aged white tea, and then also it comes in at the right price. And then when I have one, I haven't been like rushing to get 2 or 3 or 4 aged white teas up on the site, because I figure for most people it's going to be your first time trying like a really old aged white tea. And maybe now we're starting to get to the point where I can have some quote-unquote repeats. They taste different to me as a guy that drinks a lot of tea, but I want to make sure that they're different for like everybody as well. And then of course there's even factors like that people might not consider, like, you know, how professional are the tea farmers at actually doing the export properly, because a lot of tea farmers don't want to deal with the paperwork and actually get stuff done properly. If they don't do it, we have to do it. If we have to do it, that's extra time and money to be able to do it in a way that, like, you know, is harder if they have experience doing that, or if they're willing to at least work with us, as opposed to be like, we don't want to deal with it at all, we just want cash. And a lot of tea farmers are like that. A lot of tea farmers are like, we don't, like, I think it's great you're selling in America, we don't want any part of dealing with the importing and the paperwork and the shipping and the packaging and the selling, we want cash for the tea. Makes sense, that's what they do. So if we get farmers that are interested in having like a longer term relationship with us, that's also very attractive, because it means that we can get more better tea over cheaper and do it legally. And I don't know other tea companies and their practices, but let's just say that when I asked around, I found that almost nobody was doing it legally. So in the long term, that's something that I also might look into. Like, once I like the tea, talk to the farmer, see their interest in how they want to deal with the Western market. Do they want to deal with, you know, taking the payment, that sort of stuff. Wow, look at that. Fourth steep of the, look at the color of that guy. Look at the color of that. Oh my God, damn. Who is this? Hala says, Athelia, I'm sorry, says, sitting down with a infuser mug full of your red jade. Thank you so much. Red jade is great. That's the one thing I regret about this last Taiwan trip, is I didn't get my own source of the red jade. Steven says, is there a ratio for how much tea you put in a certain size teapot, or you just eye it? Some people will have ratios of like 1 gram for 30 milliliters or 1 gram for 40 milliliters. I just eyeball it. If I use a smaller amount of tea in a larger pot, I'll steep it longer. Or I'll fill the pot up halfway, so even though the pot is big, the steep amount of water is similar to a gaiwan. And like, yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with your own vibe on it. And I'm not one of those people that breaks out a scale and weighs stuff, or a timer and time stuff. I try to do the basics right, which the basics, the very, very basic, what you want to do when you're drinking tea. Ta tang fen li. Ta is tea, tang is like the soup, the liquid. Fen li is to separate. Cha tang fen li, you want to separate the tea and the liquid. So right here, when I'm talking to you, and if I have friends over, we'd be talking and chatting. In a Western style teapot, you have this giant pot, and it's just sitting in here, steeping, 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 wasting the tea energy, getting bitter. Like this is actually cooling off. It's getting easier to drink. It's not over steeping in there. And if I want to refill a friend's cup, I just go and refill their cup. If I want to fill my own cup, I go and fill my own cup. So the most important thing is to get to a point where you're separating the tea and the leaves and the thing over here. So very cool. Great questions, by the way. Will you ever sell the orange or rose tea resin Sister Eyes? Yes, we have a lot of tea resin samples from Sister Eye. The plan is for me to head there in probably mid-May, late May. And when I go there, I want to get like a new tea resin series. I actually think the resins are really, really great, especially those resins that don't have the caffeine in them. It's like, it's just really good. It's just an easy way when you're about town, just like pop it in. I'm thinking of making them in little tins. And so like, yeah, we're looking into that. I think the Chen tea, the orange peel, and the rose are definite winners. There's a couple other ones. They have a jasmine flower resin, which was pretty good. I'm still working my way through those samples. Very cool. Question over here from Emmanuel Guajaron, I want to say. Guajaron says, I really want to try that Black Beauty. Do you know where I can purchase it? No one exports it, so it's just your eyes. As far as I know, I'm the only person selling their tea outside of China, and it was just too expensive. I didn't make it, but maybe in the future I'll make it, because it's a really, really cool tea. It's a raw pour, but it's so dark. It's almost like a raw pour mixed with a red tea, and it's so smooth. It's unbelievably smooth for a young raw pour, because the one I was drinking was from 2023. So that's really good. Questions from Loading on TikTok asks, what's a sweet tea you recommend? I like green tea. Green tea is always nice, fresh, fragrant. Any of the green teas on my website will be good. Those are sweet, especially if you bring the steep temperature down a bit and make the steep time a little bit longer. The sweet notes really stay alive in the lower steep time and lower steep temperature. And then I also recommend white tea. White tea is like with the Shoumei White Tea balls we have, real good. So like, that sort of stuff is really, really good. Very cool. Steven says, I'm going to visit China in May. Great. And in-laws coming to visit from China in May, and for Dad loves tea, we'll be ordering from the shop soon. That'd be great. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Lots of good tea. Lots of good tea. Let's do a YouTube question over here. I have YouTube here in the middle. Are you going to add more herbal tea to the shop? We have a really cool herbal tea that I have not announced yet. But we're in the process of designing the packaging, and we're gonna do. Basically, it's from Hainan Island. So if you go to a map of China, a lot of people don't know, but there's an island off the south coast of China that's kind of more of the latitude of like Vietnam and Thailand, and that's like their version of Hawaii. That's like the tropical island everybody flies to for vacation, Hainan Island. Yeah, but Hainan Island is wild, because even though the coast is kind of developed with like a lot of resorts and stuff, like Chinese people don't hike. Like they don't really do that. So like the inside of the island, the wild part of the island is really wild. And in that inside of the island, there's a special type of tree called the Huanghuali Shu. And the Huanghuali wood is used for very, very high-end furniture. But I found one group of people that have a grove of these trees, and they're picking the leaves from these trees and processing like their red tea, but they're not Camellia sinensis, so they don't have caffeine in them. But the flavor of the tea tastes something similar to a red tea. It's like if you wanted, I had a friend, I shared it with some friends of mine, it's like if you wanted to drink black tea at night, but you didn't want caffeine, that would be the right one to drink. And so we're going to be the first people to bring it to the States and to bring it outside of China. Even within China, there's not a lot of people that drink it. It's exactly the type of thing I was looking for, and it's very, very good. So we're going to be bringing that onto the shop at some point. My hope is we'll probably have it here by the summer. But it's definitely going to be a very, very good idea. It's going to be excellent, too. Questions over here. I love all your videos. Thanks so much. Other questions over here. Squidward for President says it sounds amazing. It is really good. It's actually part of the problem with that tea is because there's so much that's cool about it. I'm actually not even sure how to share it. It's from Hainan Island, which is really cool. It's from these wild ancient trees, which is really cool. It's not tea, but it's made like tea. That's pretty cool. And of course, it has no caffeine, so you can drink it at night. We even experimented adding just a tiny, tiny bit of honey to it, and I think it was really, really good. But you could do whatever. People saying, Bubs Z10, do you ship to Canada? I do. Just go to the website, put in your address. The shipping's going to be a little bit more expensive because it's international, but we do. We ship to Canada all the time. I'd say maybe like 5 to 10% of the customers are in Canada, so we do it a lot. Question, Stephen, what's a lower temperature you would set the kettle to for white or green tea? Great question. So I'm drinking white tea right now at boiling temperature, but that's because this is an old white tea and it can take it. For a younger white tea, you would definitely benefit from dropping the steep temperature. I usually do 85 Celsius, which is 185 Fahrenheit. You could do it lower. The way that the heat works is it draws the tea energy, it draws the tea out of the leaf. And so if you do it at a very low temperature, it will draw the tea out of the leaf, but it won't do it very fast. So this is like why if you cold brew something, you want to cold brew it for hours. But if you're hot brewing, then obviously the more heat you hit it with, the faster it's going to steep. And usually the more flavor that's going to come out. The thing is that the sweet stuff in the tea comes out at the lower temperatures, and you actually don't need crazy high heat to get the sweetness out of the tea. So I would say if you wanted to have a lower steep temperature for your white tea, try 85. If that's too hot, try 80 Celsius. And just play with it and see what you like, because there's no one right way of doing it. Very, very cool. Are tea bags with whole herbs good tea? From Stellos Kappa. I have no idea, because in the Chinese tea tradition, it's basically all tea leaves. So in the West, anything that's steeped in water we call tea, but tea, you know, depending on who's defining it, tea is a leaf. It's Camellia sinensis. It's one specific plant. So I actually, even though I do tea all the time, I drink very little herbal tea, and I have very little knowledge about how to determine, like, from what I can tell, the best thing you want from your herbal tea is freshness. You know, with flower tea in particular, I know that the whole flowers are better than crushed flour. I actually don't get into that too much. So I don't have that great advice for you, unfortunately. Other than if you're drinking herbal tea and you have not tried the tea leaf tea, the good stuff, I would give this a try, because they're different worlds. Yeah, God, I love this tea. Really good old white tea. Look at that color, people. Very, very nice. There we go. Just ordered a barista kettle from the site. Thank you so much. No more guessing with the temperatures. That is really nice. The kettles are really nice. Big fan of the barista kettles. Put it somewhere like here where it's not going to be away. They're really good for if you're interested in making tea more of an experience and less of just like, okay, this is a beverage. The temperature control kettles are really nice. I would put them last on the priority. Like, you need tea equipment, and then a kettle. And if you're short on money, you can actually get a pretty good experience out of just using a $20 kettle from Target. But if you really like the experience of making the tea, and it's actually part of your idea of how you'd like to spend a Sunday afternoon on the porch, under the blue sky, drinking the teas, I really do recommend getting a good temperature control kettle. Cheers. There we go. Questions over here. What's the difference between sheng and shou pu'er? That's over here from our TikTok channel. So they're both the same leaf. So it's both pu'er tea. The raw pu'er is put through a process where they take the tea leaves, they wither them. So they pick them, they leave them out to wither for about a day. Then they roll them, and then they fix them in a wok. Basically heat treat them in a wok, lay them out, and they lay them out to sun dry, and then they dry. For the cooked pu'er, what they do is they do that process up until they have the leaves ready to dry, and then they put them together into a big pile, and then they pile them on top of each other and keep shifting the pile every couple days. And that piling creates a lot of heat at the bottom as the tea oxidizes, and rapidly oxidizes the tea. This is the cooking method. It's also called wet piling, and that creates a very dark, earthy, funky tea. It's a very different style. So even though they are both pu'er tea, the flavor of them are so different that they really are essentially different teas. I kind of see them as different teas in my mind. Some days I want one, some days I want the other. Generally, it's kind of you can get away with a lower quality tea in the show pour, which is not saying it's bad quality. It's just saying, like, if you have the top of the line, usually that stuff is kept raw and it's not piled. But there's everything out there. And then I'd much rather have a better quality cooked pour than a bad quality raw pour. Cheers. Questions. We have a question over here. Is shipping to Europe, Anonymous says, is shipping to Europe on your site safe? Tea items are very fragile, they're secured. Yeah, we take a lot of care with the shipping. Let me show you what the things are like. Back. So when we ship, first of all, we have our boxes. These are actually safe to ship with, like, directly in the mail in America, but we always put them inside a brown box. But inside the box, we have several layers of foam. So there's foam in here, and then every item has a custom insert with the foam. So, like, that thing's not breaking. Like, you can hit that as hard as you want. That thing is not breaking. The downside is it is a little bit bulkier, but I figure, like, people would rather spend a couple extra dollars and know it will not break, and it will not break, than, you know, have stuff arrive broken and they were all excited for it and then it broke. And in the worst case scenario, if it breaks in shipping, we'll take care of that. I'll send you another one. We're in it for the two people. I really don't care about whatever, $40. Like, my goal is to try to bring tea culture to people, and that's just not going to happen if shit breaks. It's honestly one of the biggest reasons why I recommend working with a tea guy, whether it's me or somebody else, versus just like rando Amazon stores. Like, all these random Amazon stores, like, they're not in it to try to really make customers happy in the long term. They want to have the price be as low as possible. They'll skip on any number of things, and if it breaks, good luck getting a replacement from them. It's just not happening. So we do take care of that sort of stuff. So that's the way it is. Questions over here from Instagram, Kilakua Boy, I want to say. I can't quite read it. Any idea what's going to be on the next subscription box? I know exactly what's going to be on the next subscription box, but I can't tell everybody. But I will give you some hints. There's going to be a new tea coin. So if you guys have seen, I have these purple Shung raw pour tea coins. They're like this big, mini Teacakes that are like one size serving. We have a new one of that, and I'm not going to tell you what it is though, because I want to keep some secrets. We're also going to have really good tea. We're also going to have we have a lot of cool stuff coming up on the next box, so I'm excited for it. I think that you guys are going to be very happy with the next box. For those of you that don't know, I run a tea subscription club. So the way the club works is that any time you can join the club, you go to my website, jessesteahouse.com. The tea subscription button. There's a whole section for the tea subscription, and if you subscribe, then you get this quarter's box. So every 3 months, I do 3 new teas. So once a quarter, you get new teas, every 3 months, 3 new teas. If you join the club, you get that cycle's tea right now, and then automatically on the next drop date, you get the next box. So if you order today, you'll get this cycle's box now, and then on May 1st, regardless of when you sign up, on May 1st, you get the next box. And we do that so that everybody can get the teas at the same time, and it's really more of a club experience rather than before. We used to have it like you make an order and then 90 days later you get the next one, and nobody knew which box they were getting, and everybody was getting them at different times. It was not so good. So that would be that's the way that we do it. So cheers. Here we go. Oh, that's so good. By the way, let's just appreciate Sunday afternoon tea time. If you have the ability to go get your own tea set and make some tea with me, do it. Let's get it. Monkey box coming up. Questions. Eggman, any suggestions on where to get a high quality Bing Dow tea cake without getting scammed? That's a little harder than you might think. We have some Bing Dow on the site, but it's a mixed Bing Dow. So it's some Bing Dow and some from the surrounding areas. It's not like full on ancient tree Bing Dow from the ancient tree source. The real way to do it, it kind of sucks, is like go to Bing Dow, like go to the people that are like literally right next to the trees, tell them to point you to which trees that they get it from. Even better if you see them harvesting it. It's a real crapshoot with Bing Dow, because whenever a brand gets so big like that, whenever a place gets so big like that, Bing Dow, by the way, for the people who don't know, it's a village in Yunnan. And if you go back to my channel in June of last year, I went to Bing Dow and looked at the ancient trees. And Bing Dow is generally considered to be the best, or one of the best places for pu'er in the world. They have an ancient tree grove that is known as, quote unquote, the best. And the tea from there is absurdly expensive and the most knocked off tea in the country. So a lot of places will say they're from Bing Dow, or they'll do kind of what the cakes that are on our site do, which is that they mix some Bing Dow leaves with other leaves from other mountains, which is not untraditional. This is something that a lot of people have been doing for a long time. It's just difficult to market correctly to let people know. If I were to be marketing something that was like actually from that grove, I would call it Bing Dow Ancient, like, you know, True Bing Dow, or like something like Bing Dow Ancient Village, you know, something like that. Again, the problem is anybody could write those words. You need a tea guy that has really good connections in Bing Dow to do it. So I try to be able to, it is tricky also, because sometimes I have these cakes that they have Bing Dow written on the front of the thing. If I call an English language name and I call it something else, people are gonna say that I'm like, oh, you're tricking people because you put Bing Dow on the cake but you called it something else. And if I do the opposite, people are gonna hate on me that way. And there's a whole group of people on the internet who are so pedantic about this stuff that this is like all they spend their time on, is like hating on how other people do tea. And for me, the most important thing is to be as transparent as possible about what I do. And like I do that by like actually going to the tea mountains and making videos for you guys, and by spending my Sunday afternoon to hang out with my tea people and answer these questions as best I can. So the reason why there isn't one of those on my site is because it's really hard to do, and I have the resources to do it, and I know how much it would be, and it'd be like, I don't know, let's think this through. If I were to get some real Bing Dow, I could probably sell a 50-gram cake for like $80 or $90, maybe $88, maybe. It might be more than that, and that's for 50 grams. It probably would be more than that, come to think of it. So it's just like not a product I think is particularly attractive. Also, just like if I'm gonna sell you guys a $90 tea cake that's only 50 grams, I'd have to design the hell out of that packaging, because I'm not gonna just ship you guys a cake and just tell you it's really expensive. So that's extra work on the packaging. We're spending money on that. Like it's just a mess. It's not something I particularly am interested in doing right now. I think if our audience gets big enough, there may be a day where I'm like, for funsies, we're gonna get 100 of these pressed, and then that's it. You know, that would be the way that I would do it. So somebody's saying Wumbo the Shumbo. Wumbo the Mumbo, can you please show off and introduce your tea pets? Of course. Today on the table, we got a little tiger over here. Hello. Say hello to everybody. Lucky the rabbit. Got a rabbit over here. The tiger's name is Gumbo. Gumbo the tiger. And Lucky the rabbit. Oh no, I'm sorry, this isn't Lucky, this is Bonnie. I have another rabbit named Lucky. This is Bonnie. Bonnie's an OG. Bonnie's been with the channel from the beginning. Bonnie was one of the first tea pets on the site. Very cool. Cho Your X says, Jesse, your dragon cups are amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I love the dragon cups. We have these dragon cups that have this gold laser etching in them. I actually got to see the laser etching machine in person when I went to our factories in Fujian. Last summer, I went to Fujian province to the city of Dehua, where they make like 90% of the porcelain in the world. You know, there's like Chinese cities that like, this place makes all the zippers in the world. Like, it's one of those, but for porcelain. So if you see porcelain in a shop somewhere, in Walmart or anything like that, Walmart or whatever, what's a high-end, I don't fucking shop at high-end places, Williams and Sonoma, stuff like that. It's all made in Doha. So I went to our warehouses and to our factories that provide the stuff that gets onto the website and makes the porcelain. And I got to see the laser engraving machine they have. It's like, you know, it's like they have like a table with a grid on it and then like a laser dot, and then they have a computer running like Windows 95 or something crazy like that. And they put in the image into the computer, and it goes like and laser etches off like, you know, tiny bits of porcelain at a time to be able to reveal the pattern. And then depending on the technique, sometimes they're hand painted, sometimes they're like kind of stamped and then washed out, and then like, you know, there's a lot of different ways to do it. So that's the way you do it. Nate has Bruce the Ox, the tea pet. That Ox tea pet is the first tea pet you sold. Exactly, I got it with the first tea set I sold. There's a, I have one. I'll show you guys the Ox tea pet. The you know, he's somewhere in the apartment, but I don't want to leave the live stream for so long to show you guys. But the OGs, though, I had like an Ox tea pet that was going to be the original tea pet that went with the tea sets, and then they ran out, so I only wound up sending about 130 of them out to people, so he's pretty rare. So great questions over here. 6Lock6Y6 says hello and big love from Tea Russia. Thanks so much to our Russian tea friends. What tea do they drink in Russia? I hear they drink a lot of black tea, like pu'er. I don't know if that's true or not. I've heard stories from the tea market. Other questions. By the way, if you missed, if I missed your question, please just repost. Thomas Coley, do you see your tea journey taking you outside the Chinese-speaking areas, or do you have no interest in that? This is a really good question. So as a person, not a businessman, not a performer, like, I think it would be really cool to like go to India, go to Kenya, go to Sri Lanka, go to Japan, and do the tea stuff there. The challenge that I'm facing now is that, like, if I do that, you guys are definitely going to want to buy the tea, and I need to make sure that I have the same quality control that I do for the other stuff, because I can't just tell you like, hey guys, I don't know anything about Sri Lanka, so I hope this is good. I mean, I guess that's what I would have to do. I feel a pressure and a responsibility to you guys to make sure I get really good stuff at a good price. And one of the reasons why I'm so confident about the stuff that I have on the shop in the Chinese-speaking areas, because I speak Chinese, so I can go up to the tea vendors. I mean, I can even talk to a tea person. I can just feel like, are they messing with me? Are they lying? I've heard enough Chinese, and I've dealt with enough people, and I know that industry well enough in China that I can be pretty certain about that. And also, every different country has different laws for exporting, so I would have to learn a whole new set of laws, not just for how to get it out of, say, Japan, but like out of Japan into the US, and hopefully by the end of this year, we're going to have warehouses open in the UK and the EU and possibly Australia. So I have to learn 4 more countries of how to export it. So the actual, like, that stuff gets me not excited. But as a person, I'm actually very excited. I would love to do that. And it's kind of my personal goal for next year is to get, to kind of professionalize things here enough where, like, I'm not dealing with our importing and our taxes and our that sort of stuff. And if we can get the tea house big enough where I don't have to deal with that, and I can be like, I'm going to India, like, hey, Jesse's Tea House member, please research how to get our tea from India to America. Okay, I'm gonna have fun. If I can get to there, then I'd love to. That would be epic. I would really like to do that. Also, there's a lot of really good tea in those areas, and even though outside of Japan, none of these places have like really, really long tea histories from like China. Tea's been around, whatever, 2,000 years. There are areas of Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam. There are places that have that longer tradition, although it was never developed in the same way the Chinese was. Tea in Japan has been around for about 800 years. But tea in India and these places, it's usually colonial era. So it was the British that took the tea plant and planted it in the colonies. And a lot of the tea culture kind of really started growing up then. Kenya, same sort of story. So there is a lot of tea history there, but there's so much in China that it's, you know, you'd never reach the end even if you were just doing China. So that's the way it's working. So I would love to do it. Yeah, Nate Dogg says I'd love to sell everything from Tea Adventures, but I'd love to watch. Or I don't have to sell everything. You're right, I don't have to sell it. It's just, you know, it's expensive to travel around the world doing tea stuff, and especially if I'm gonna film stuff. Like if I told people like, hey, I'm going to the tea hills in India, but I'm just like, I'm not gonna be selling it and I'm not gonna be recording it. People would just like freak out. I'm sure people would, and why would I do that to people, you know? So there's definitely gonna be a way that I can do it that's gonna be a fit for my life, but not overburden myself. And at the end of the day, like, what I've learned kind of being a tea businessman is like, you have to do the best you can. And there's always going to be haters like that are like, oh, you should have done this way. You should be selling matcha. You should be doing this. Oh, the tea's too expensive. The tea's not high enough quality. It's like, I got to do the best I can, man. If my experience is not enough to do a good job, you're going to have a hard time finding people that are going to do much better. I'm not claiming that there are no people in the world that are going to be better, but, you know, there's not a ton of them that are really making an effort of making it go in the West. Cheers, everybody. Oh, baby. There we go. Good question over here from the TikTok. Why don't I sell yellow tea? There's a simple and a complicated answer for that. The simple answer is I don't have a yellow tea guy. My yellow tea guy actually retired during the pandemic, so the person I used to get my yellow tea from no longer does yellow tea. That's the simple answer. The longer answer is that yellow tea is, in my opinion, overly expensive for how good it is. I started tea not as a tea guy doing internet stuff, but I got into tea right when I was out of college when I moved to Beijing. And I would go to the tea market a lot, and I would hang out at the tea market. And I got into tea partially because it doesn't have to be a very expensive hobby. Obviously, you can spend any amount of stuff you want on rare teapots or whatever. These are not rare, but like, you know, you can spend any amount of money you want on the hobby. You can have a whole tea room in your house with a giant redwood slab that cost $1 million, but you don't need to. And one of the reasons I got into tea is because you can get good tea that's like whatever, $1 a session, $2 a session, $3 a session. You know, it's Sunday afternoon. If I had gone out to brunch, or if I had like gone downstairs to the Starbucks and gotten a tea bag and a cup, it would have cost me basically the same as this 17-year-age white tea I'm drinking right now. All of this is to say that, like, from the very beginning, for me personally, finding that balance of quality and affordability is important. And yellow tea doesn't really do that well. Yellow tea is hard to make, it's expensive. I might try putting some on the website. I think nowadays I've had enough people ask me for it that as long as I'm upfront with people and say, hey, this is expensive, but it's tasty. It's something that I would recommend for like tea people that really like tea, and if you've never tried it, you definitely should try it. I've tried enough tea that I personally just don't drink it a lot. And until I find a yellow tea that really hits that like value for me, I just like, you know, it takes a lot of work to get these things from the tea mountain, find the right person, control the quality, design the packaging, get it all over to you guys. I don't do that with anything I'm not like really excited about. So I just kind of haven't been too excited about the yellow teas. And that's kind of the answer. Question, that is such a golden honey brown for the white tea. That's the 17-year aged. That's the 17-year aged tea right there. Perfectly clear. See how clear that is? See how clear that is? Perfectly clear. See, I'm going to show you how clear that is. That's really nice. Really good. Really good tea. Questions over here. Tastes similar to green tea, like, yeah, yellow tea has kind of a greenish tea taste to it. Question, do you know when you'll have Doide's reserved Teacakes back in stock again? We made another purchase. I think they're coming in April. I know they're already shipped. So it's you know, when we order them, we have to pack them, we have to send them to the port, they have to get onto the boat, they have to get to the States, they have to get off the boat, they have to get to the warehouse, they need to be imported into the system. When we're out of stock for extended periods of time, which you try not to be, but like when we have items that are out of stock, any one of those steps could be delayed. Sometimes you even have shipments that come in and they like they inspect the packages. If you guys remember, we had like tea samplers were out of stock for a long time. That's because we lost a month. We just got really unlucky. The FDA inspected, or like the Coast Guard inspected the container that one of the things were on, and we had all our paperwork. Everything was fine. Everything was good. But like it delayed that container for like a month. So like whatever, people doing their jobs, keeping us safe. It's good, but like that happens. So we need to be aware of that, and that's just how it works. Questions over here. How do I mark up my prices? Great question. So basically, what I do is I do my best. So whenever I identify a tea that I really like, I go to the tea farmers and I try to get as close to the farmers as I can, because basically what I do is I try to get the tea as low a price as I can. Sometimes we can do that by getting more of the tea. Sometimes we can even do things like, you know, sometimes a tea vendor just has a lot from a certain year. We have like very little of the 2015, but we have a lot of the 2016, or vice versa. And so sometimes you even have vendors that are like giving stuff away at a lower price. Or they're just giving me personally a deal. Like Dway, my tea guy, he's just like a great guy. He's made a lot of money in tea. He doesn't really need my money. The Western market is not a big market. He doesn't really care about that. He just likes the idea of the tea getting out there and having people try really good pu'er. And then he's like confident eventually, whether it's 5 years or 10 years, people will come around. And so I get a good price. So basically I do that price. I know how much my packaging is going to cost. I take a guess at how much the shipping is going to cost. And then there are other things. I have to pay taxes. I have to import the stuff. We also have some other costs that are high because of the trade war. So because of the trade war between US and China, which has been every day, we are stuck in this ruinous trade war. We all suffer. Just a reminder, it's been going on. We've had a trade war with our biggest trading partner for a long time to no one's benefit. Show me the data. This has helped anybody. It's not helped anybody. But because of that, there are certain things where like we can't exceed certain sizes of shipping. So we have to pack everything into smaller boxes. That takes labor, that takes time, that takes money. It's still cheaper than paying the giant, ridiculous tariffs. But we have to do that. I try to, and then of course I have fixed costs, which are a little bit harder to figure out. So like my health care, my employees' salaries. I have 7 employees. Those salaries, I have to pay them every month. In China, I have healthcare for the employees. I have to pay their healthcare. I have to run a whole separate company in China to import the tea. So I need an accountant, I need an office in China, I need Chinese finance people. All of these things have to be wrapped up, and I have to take a guess about like how much is that going to increase the price of the tea. When I get to that number, then I add a certain amount of profit on it. It depends on the item, and it depends on how much that, like if it's an easy product, like let's say we already have the box, we already have the stuff, we don't need to design anything, we just put a new thing in the box, like a tea pet, then I don't add much money onto it because it's like it doesn't really cost me much more to do a new product. But if I have a new product that is like, to make this product, we have to design multiple design elements, we have to make a new box, we have to figure out a new system, we have to import it from a new place, then that number is a little bit higher, and then that's the number you see on the website. So sometimes people are like, oh, the teas are overpriced or whatever. You have no idea what goes into making the actual stuff. We're not gouging people. We're doing the best we can. And honestly, if you think the teas are too expensive, you will find somebody to sell you cheaper tea. My goal is not to be the cheapest tea on the internet. My goal is to have a really good product that every time it comes and people are happy with it. And as you see, to spend a lot of time and energy educating people on the internet. I mean, all of that stuff I just told you about does not include making 300 or 500 videos a year. So we have a podcast, we come out with all this sort of stuff. Like I work super hard on it. And so, and of course that doesn't include my time and energy or any money for myself. That's just like literally the cost of getting it done. So the hope is that like people will be able to get a really good product consistently, good shipping, short times, and that's one of the reasons I'm looking into opening the warehouses up in the UK and the EU and Australia, is because I know from my tea friends there, it's not a great experience buying from my shop. We do it, we sell over there, and we have a lot of happy European customers, but even happy European customers have to pay extra shipping, and like the tax situation is complicated. I don't really want it to be that way. You know, I think about it in the sense of like, if I were actually having you guys over, would I tell you like, hey, there might be tax on this, but I don't know what it is. But like, there are so many countries in Europe, I just don't know. And even though it's the EU, like that, every country can still do what they want. So I try to be as open about this as possible. That's the only thing I can do. Questions over here. I acknowledge you're running a business and you provide a value add. You're a great tea guy. Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it. Lucy Johnson. Oliver Bard, sorry, did you talk about a timeline regarding the EU warehouses? We're working on it. Our stretch goal is August. I think probably more realistic is November. I want to have it open by Christmas. That's the goal. We're stuck on some like import paperwork stuff. It's surprisingly difficult to know, like there's no one place you can go to say, what papers do I need to import tea? There's a lot of opinions, but if you mess it up, it's all on you. You can't be like, I Googled it and they said it was fine, and they're still gonna impound it and you lose the whole thing. So it's like, and then Brexit has been a problem. So because of Brexit, basically, you know, we're looking at something like $8,000 to $10,000 a year in costs for that I would not have had to pay before Brexit, which makes me wonder whether I should do business in the UK at all. I'm sure people in the UK are not hearing this for the first time, but you know, everybody makes their own decisions politically, but Brexit was pretty ruinous for people like me. I would definitely not be hesitating at all if I only had to pay once. But because the UK now has its own regulations, all of the rules that I need to do for the EU are basically the same in the UK. I just have to do them again. So that's we're definitely going to, EU is probably the top priority, and then if I can do the UK and Australia, I'll do them at the same time. That's the goal. But it's there is a lot of work. Question, Derek Torres says, you're the sole reason I know anything about tea. Thanks so much. Your shop is awesome and tea is incredible. Thank you for all. Thank you very much. I love these comments. They're just people being nice. Cheers. Question from Cross on the TikTok asks, what's your favorite tea of all time? Favorite type of tea? It's hard to say, man. What I like about tea is, especially once you have a little bit of a collection, every day you can try something different. I generally don't drink the same type of tea 3, 4, 5 days in a row. I generally don't drink the type of tea twice in a row. I like being able to mix it up. If you put a gun to my head and force me to say only one type of tea forever, I probably would do raw pu'er, maybe old white tea like we're drinking today. But like part of the fun is different stuff. I mean, for me, like, you know, raw pu'er from this mountain and raw pu'er from that mountain tastes different, because I've drunk enough of it that I can kind of say, oh, that one's sweeter, that one's more astringent, that's stronger, this is more floral, that one tastes like lemon. You know, there's enough difference in there that I enjoy it without you know, I could drink a different raw pu'er every day. That's the type of tea. So that would be the way to do it. Questions from Wandering Fanor says, I lost some taste due to COVID. What should I drink now? That's an interesting question. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope it goes away. I know long COVID's really weird. It could go away. I guess try something really thick and strong. So maybe like the Doi Doi's 2010 Reserve cooked pu'er tea. Cooked or show pu'er tea is the same thing. That's going to be pretty strong. Pretty funky. Pei cha, black tea, same style. That could be a good choice. an aged white tea like this. I have a 2011 Fooding White Tea on the website. That could be kind of thing. That could be a thing. Or maybe even try to stretch some stronger red tea, like the Sister Eyes Everyday Red Tea that I have. It comes in these mini cakes, 50-gram cakes. I think it's 25 bucks. That'll make you 7 to 10 sessions. Another thing you could try is over steeping the tea. So if you've lost some taste, hit it longer, hit it hotter. Experiment and see what works for you. I would say the one thing that you will know is that you're going to have to make the steeping instructions a little bit different. Play to your taste and be confident if you're liking it, because your mouth is going to be functioning different from everybody. So that's the way it would do. Lily asked, with an herbal tea, would you still be pouring out the first steep? My guess is no. I'm not an herbal tea expert, but my guess is no. Because a lot of herbal teas don't actually have that much pop in them. And so if you're pouring out that first steep, you probably are just pouring out good tea. For tea leaves like this aged white tea, as you've seen, I've been steeping this over an hour, over again in a big pot. They have so much strength because they're actually Camellia sinensis, like a real tea leaf, that you don't need to worry as much about that. But for the herbal tea, usually will be all right. This is part of the reason why blending teas as just a concept is hard to give you a good idea, because I don't know what's in that tea blend. If there's 8 things in it, they all might want to be made a different way. So that's the way to think about it. Somebody's asking here, hold on, I had a question about the white tea. I'm sorry. Internet says, Jesse, appreciate your tea passion and candor. How was that recent nice looking aged white tea cake sample? How did it compare to the 2011 Fooding and the 2017 White Dew? Bring the White Dew now. Thank you. This is the sample is actually pretty good. I actually did like it. I'm trying to remember when it was from. I think it was like 2016 or something like that. I'd say it was more like the White Dew than it was the 2011. Those extra couple of years really mattered. Like, you could tell the difference. It was a little bit more floral than the White Dew. I think the White Dew is like, it's a little punchy, which I like. Hold on, over here, we have detected inactivity. Hold on. What's going on? One of my things over here, verification complete. Something, TikTok almost kicked me off my live stream. They said I was inactive. What are you talking about? I'm active right here. Don't they have an AI that can tell I'm talking? Sorry about that, guys. I have the TikTok, the YouTube, and the Instagram running. So if I've been answering questions you don't see on the chat, that's why. Questions, got a lot of things over here. Do a bunch of short steeps and pour it all. Somebody's giving some advice about taking stuff. Paul says, would you carry a silver needle white tea, or is it too pricey? That's a good question. Basically, it's just too expensive. And again, this is similar to my question somebody asked me about yellow tea. There's a couple things about silver needle that make me not super excited to put it on the shelf. One is that it is really expensive. So if you want good, real silver needle, it's going to be expensive. Like, you know, I did the math once. I think it's going to cost something like $50 or $55 for a 50-gram thing. That's a lot of money. Now, granted, I mean, some people have money, and some people want to buy good tea, and they don't mind spending it. And like, compared to other stuff in life, it's not that expensive. I mean, like, you know, go out to brunch, you spend $55 in LA, easy. But it's also just like, for what it is, it's like, you know, maybe I'm too hard on silver needle. The other thing about silver needle is a lot of fake silver needle out there and a lot of bad silver needle out there that's sold at cheaper prices. So it's one of these things where, like, if people don't know a lot and they're just kind of window shopping and they go on Amazon and they're like, this guy's selling 100 grams of silver needle for $20 and Jesse's selling 50 grams for $60. What's up with Jesse? And I just don't want to deal with that noise. Especially because, like, you know, the internet's a weird place. Like, people like hate on people on the internet and they're like, this guy is doing this, he's getting cheated, blah, blah, blah. And, like, you know, you can't control that though. But silver needle is a really great thing, and I've been thinking of maybe doing a rare or expensive teas sampler, and that would be the sort of place for it. So I can tell people, like, these are going to be higher quality or rare or whatever the deal is, but it's the sort of thing where I'm going to give you 20 grams instead of 50, and that gets the price down a little. It allows people a chance to try them And then if they try the 20 grams and they're like, you know what, that was really good, that is worth the $60 or whatever, I feel a little bit better about that. I don't want to be forcing people into this situation where they feel like they can't join the hobby unless they put down $60 for a small tin of tea, you know? That's why the samplers are $40 and they come with 8 different teas in them. And that's why the subscription box is $58. It comes with 150 grams. So it's like $20 for the 50 grams, and really it's less than that because if you subscribe, the price goes down even further. So that would just be the way. That's the reason I try to figure it out. Yeah, Nate Dogg says drinking tea is an activity. That's the way to look at it. It's something you do. It's like a hobby. You know, if you want to, you know, I just bought a motorcycle yesterday. I'm going to be doing some motorcycling. But like, if you buy a motorcycle, you got to pay money. There's gas, there's insurance, there's parking. You want to do a hobby, you got to pay for it. Tea is a very inexpensive hobby. Even like really high-end tea, you think about $60. Like I might be paying $60 a month for my motorcycle insurance. I don't know what the deal is. If they don't let me keep my motorcycle in my regular parking spot down here, I'm gonna have to pay extra for parking for my motorcycle. Like, hobbies take money. So like, you know, this is the key is you don't want to spend stupid money. So that's why I try to figure out, like, make it a little bit of a balance, you know, have a good quality stuff that's not going to be crazy expensive. And then, you know, everybody's in different parts of their life. So like 10 years ago, I would not have been buying a motorcycle. I didn't have that money. Nowadays, it's like, hey, the tea business is going well. I also still do comedy performing and touring. I do lots of comedy shows. I make money there. You know, it's not the end of the world if I want to get a motorcycle. So very, very good. If anybody has, if anybody is a motorcycle rider and they live in LA and they want to ride up to some pretty places and drink tea, you know, hit me up in the chat. Very, very good. Lots of questions over here. Mil Kanika says, have I tried Indian teas? I have tried some Indian teas. There are some really good quality Indian teas out there. They are harder to find because India doesn't have a high quality domestic tea market. The Indian tea tradition with the chai tea and the spices was invented by Indian people who were growing the tea for the colonialist British. And they were not given the good tea. They were given the bad tea because they wanted to ship the good tea off to Britain and to Europe. And so the result is that they found a way to make good tea with what they had. They added the milk, they added the spices, they added the sugar. Also, some of the tea there is made using like processes that are not meant to be done this way. So if you get CTC, crushed terra pearl tea, it's going to be unbearably bitter if you make it this way with nothing else in it. But there are some places that are really great for tea growing there, and some people who really care. Darjeeling, Rishihat. There's a couple really good places. I would love to go there sometime. Also, luckily, all the tea places are usually like beautiful places. So like, if I ever get a chance to go to India, I'm gonna have a ton of fun. I went to India once to do comedy shows. I went to Mumbai for 3 days and Bangalore for 3 days, but I didn't get to go to any of the tea areas, unfortunately. So, you know, I had chai tea, but you know, I wasn't. Also, at that time, I didn't have this channel. So my one time to India, I wasn't thinking about tea as much. Although, you know, I could have. I did, of course, buy some to bring back to my apartment in Beijing, but now it's lost with all the rest of my property in Beijing. Very, very cool. I'm gonna do a couple more questions and then get going. It's about time for me to start doing something. Somebody asked if I do live every Sunday. I do it if I have time. I don't have any set schedule for it. I really should make it easier for you guys. Hello from Hawaii. Aloha, Cody Medeiros. There we go. Enjoy your tea. Your favorite tea holly. Questions over here. It says, Runly Driver says, my first comment got swamped, but I've been helping answer some questions. I wanted to say your team was super helpful yesterday with the questions I had about measuring for the 2-cup pot. Thanks so much, appreciate it. We have a great customer service team, Angel and Claudine, mother-daughter team. We have 2 people that help do the email, so if you email or if you message our chat on Shopify chat, it's Angel and Claudine that are helping you. They're both tea people. It's great. It's a big, I think everybody wins. Like every time we have new teas, I send them the new tea. They get to try it, they get to taste it, and they have a real experience with the products. It's nice to also just have Americans around on American time zones. Most of our customers are either in America or in Europe. If you're in Asia, obviously, we try to help you out as well, but it is the way to do it. Kip Thomas is starting up a pour tea orange now. There we go. Enjoy. I'm going to be heading out soon, so have some of it with me. Have some of it once I'm heading out. Great questions over here from Killa Cool Boy. Says, is the Black Jasmine coming back? Yes, we made a big order of it. It's still being shipped. I know it's been out of stock for a while. We really underestimated everybody's interest in it. I love that tea. That was one of the teas where I'm like, we're going to sell a lot of this, and we actually did. And we sold so much that we sold out way earlier than we expected. And that's on me. I got to make bigger orders. It's scary though, because it's all my money. I don't have any investors. So like, if I overestimate it one time and then they stop showing the videos on the feed, which I have no control over how many people show up in the lives or the feed. But if I buy all this stuff from my shop and then you guys don't have it, like I don't have an in-person tea house, like it's just like gonna sit there. So that's scary. But I got to overcome that fear. JessieTeahouse.com if you want really good tea, stuff that I'm drinking, the tables, the tea pets. Got a big selection up on the website, JessieTeahouse.com. I almost just drank straight from the pitcher because I'm a gremlin. Very, very cool. Questions over here. 如果我要卖茶，我卖哪里? From Finn Human. Asking if you want to buy tea, where should you get it from? I would get it from my shop. 你可以来我的网站. You can go to my website, JessieTeahouse.com. Jessie 茶馆. I'm Jessie. I'm Jessie. I run the tea house. One or two more questions over here. Joseph Elizondo says, what's the most common spiced tea in China? So you're almost never going to find any spiced tea in China. That's more of an Indian thing or a Western thing. Occasionally you'll find tea that has aged orange peel in it. That's not really a spice, but you'll find that. And you'll also occasionally find tea that has been infused with flower aroma. So like jasmine tea is actually green tea that's infused with jasmine flowers. Very rarely is it pure jasmine flowers. It's usually green tea that has jasmine flower in it. But if you see a spiced tea, even if it's like Asian style flavors like lychee, we had somebody who said lychee black tea. They don't really drink that. That's made for Western palates to be kind of Asian flavors for Westerners. It's not what they're actually drinking in China. Question over here. Was able to take advantage of the tea resin restock and I split it with my sister. Excellent. Enjoy the tea resin. That stuff is great. Very easy to take around. If I have my choice, I would sit down with the tea table and have a real session. But we don't always get our choices. Sometimes we're out working all day, and I would much rather have the tea resin. Throw it in a mug, throw it in a thermos, and have really good tea. Much rather do that than drink bad tea or not have tea. Question: is that one of the Duety's pots from the tasting? Are they unglazed on the inside? Yes, they are. So this is one of Duety's pots we're working out, getting them on the website, and they are unglazed on the inside. It's kind of a little hard to see with the light the way it is. I'm going to ask him what kind of clay they make it from. It's not like super rare. I very specifically didn't I'm looking to get some like the purple clay pots on the website, but I am specifically not trying to make that the main type of teapot I sell because they're very expensive. And again, I don't want people thinking that they can't get good tea stuff unless they spend hundreds of dollars. It's just straight up not like that. There's a lot of stuff I see samples of and I get like made that I'm like, we can do this cheaper. I don't know the exact price yet because I'm still figuring it out, but that's the way it is. Anyone questions? I'm trying to figure this out. Any experience with Tao of Tea? I haven't tried their tea. I don't know. Luke Poole, you have a wife, kid? No, I don't. I gotta find a girlfriend, man. I'm single. I don't know. We've talked about this on the channel before. I just like I gotta go on more dates. I gotta find a girlfriend before I can have a wife and kids. Questions over here. Are you like Messi? I'm probably not that much like Messi. I think he is better at soccer than I am, and he's richer than I am. He lives in America now, so I guess in that way we're like each other. And he likes yerba mate and I like tea, so I guess we both love our caffeinated leaf beverages. I'd say that's probably all the way that I'm like Messi. Bro is lonely, but he has tea. Dude, you fucking nailed it. No, I'm actually, I'm glad I'm the problems I've had with the loneliness has just come from my whole life blowing up. I lived 9 years in Beijing. I had my whole social circle. I ran a comedy club. I was like, you know, in the scene in China. And then the world blew up and the borders closed for 3.5 years and everything died. So I had to move to Los Angeles, and I basically moved here knowing almost nobody, and have been slowly building things up. It's getting better, especially as I've been here now 2 years. Starting to meet more people. Hard to date in this city for many reasons, but that hasn't gone great. But other than that, having a good time. And like, and some people are like single and they really don't want to be because they don't like the way their life is. Like, I love my life. I'm doing everything I want to do. I get to travel around the world. I get to have tea. I get to perform for people. I get to do comedy. I get to like, you know, make my own channel and run my own business. And you know, people who work in Chinese culture right now are in really bad shape. Basically, the United States, the only way to make money doing a career with China is to find a national security risk and then look at it. So I joke about this, but it's not a joke. Like, it's literally impossible to feed your family and do Chinese culture unless you're going to find a reason why China's horrible. And if your goal is to count warships, they have a lot of warships, you're going to find some. But the national securification, see what's going on with TikTok. Everything's national security now, and no one can define what it is. And no one presents really good evidence. It's a lot of mistrust and a lot of frustration. And I'm very, very fortunate that I get to still engage with Chinese culture and do what I love and spend my time drinking tea and making people laugh and not have to report to some federal agency about how horrible China is. China has bad people like every other country. The Chinese government does bad things like every other government. It is a choice to look at those things as opposed to what you want to be doing. You know, and so I'm glad that I get to choose to not do that, which is great. But overall, I'm having a great time here. So it's kind of a weird thing to end on. I'm gonna take one more question so we can do some sort of tea question. Questions over here. That dude says, remember, happiness doesn't come from the things we acquire in our life. What we acquire is a reflection of our inner world. Be happy by yourself and what you possess your whole world. I like that. We're going to do that. That's a good way to end. And then one last person is asking about the Taiwan box over here on Instagram. I don't want people to think I'm dodging them about the Taiwan box. We're working very hard on it. The packaging is almost fully designed. This Tuesday on the Tea Time with Jesse podcast. If you're not subscribed, search Tea Time with Jesse on your podcast networks. We're going to have a podcast that I recorded with Hong Claire, who works for the tea house. She's our design lead and has been designing the packages and been basically the project lead on the Taiwan box. And we talk with her about many things, but one of the things we talk about is the updated status on the Taiwan box. Basically, we're hoping to be able to start printing next week or the week after. Then when the printing's done, we'll pack them. When the packing's done, we'll ship them. When the shipping's done, we get it to you. So it is moving forward. It's taking longer than I personally wanted, but it's moving. It really is moving as fast as we can for the way people in Taiwan work. People in Taiwan work slower than in the mainland. In the mainland, they just like rush. They really, I wouldn't even say it's healthy, but things move fast. for the Taiwan box. You know, we are working on it, and I think you guys will really appreciate it. I would rather spend another 4 to 6 weeks getting it really good so that it's just there and good and everybody likes it. And the other reason it's taking longer is because it's not just a sampler. Each of the 4 teas in the sampler, we also need to design packaging for the individual boxes. Those have to be done differently. We're putting them in metal tins. We have to make the tins. Taiwan is a lot smaller than the mainland. They don't have like hundreds of thousands of these things just sitting around. They have to make them if we want them. So these things are slowing it down a little bit, but that would be the way to do it. So we are working on it. Lots of good stuff. And I'm just really glad to be your guys' tea guy, and thank you again so much. So we're gonna end with that. Thank you again. If you are, if you're interested in trying the tea stuff, the tea pets, any of this stuff, it's all on my website, jesseteas.com. Support the channel, get some tea. Even better than, we don't have a Patreon or anything, but like, I'd rather you guys get tea and drink really good tea. And that supports the channel and all of our team. So thank you again so much. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, just Tea Time with Jesse podcast on all the podcast networks, give it a search, Tea Time with Jesse. One word for tea time. And yeah, excited. We're gonna have a good one. I'm gonna do a comedy show later this afternoon, so I gotta go get prepared, get to Hollywood, and do my show. So have a good one, guys. See you around. Goodbye. Have a good one. Logging off here from TikTok. There we go. Logging off here from YouTube. Bye-bye, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Have a good one.